So, good afternoon, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome everyone to the Wisdom Transmission in Idaho, Boise, Idaho, United States of America. So today I'm delighted to introduce the Boise Oracle, Mr. Robert. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So, I'm intrigued, really, and searching, as are so many, because it's the human condition, that we're on a journey and life demands that we find a sense of self and meaning. At the same time, there is a crisis in the human condition, whether we consider it personal in our families, our life and affairs, in society, or environmental or planetary, there is a necessity for us to change our course. So I see this transmission in two ways. One is the quest. We're seeking answers. We're seeking meaning, and we're seeking a reason for change out of our human conditions, as well as responding to the planetary situation. Whichever way we look at it, humanity is on an evolutionary path and facing a precipitous moment. Now, I know, Rob, that you have tools and gifts, and I'd like to ask you to speak to, the practical, the relationship, and the metaphysical crisis of the times. What does an ordinary person do, an ordinary man or a woman, or a young person especially, in today's society, to turn this ship of life around?
These are very interesting questions. Let me give you kind of an analogy. We're swimming in an ocean of illusion. All kinds of fishes are around us. Jellyfishes, octopuses, bonefish, you name it. Everything is around us in the form of an illusion. Emotional charges we're taking on exponentially all the time. Seen and unseen possibilities are pretty much coming in at all angles. And our ego is basically having us hook up to stuff that is not in alignment with the divine plan. So swimming in this wonderful ocean of illusion, of all the possibilities out there that anything and everybody could think about at any time, where are we? The big questions are, who are we and what is our purpose? When that comes to the forefront, it can come in many different ways. We have to get down to the core of who we really are and how we can receive this information. This is pretty pertinent information, but if we have so many filters, it gets distorted and we really don't get the true transmission of who and what we really are. On that note, it's being able to be still and trust in the process. So many people get all kinds of information that comes through and they go into a sabotage mode and think, oh, is that real? Do I really need to think about this? The answer is yes. Trust in the process. It's very important at this time, and allow that to come forward in all directions. It's very, very important at this time to get footing on sound ground. Too many people are just flying around in all directions, and that's what's wrong with the new generation. They have got no foundation. They have no firm ground to base their world on. So by looking at this in a way that, okay, if I allow my inner self to come forward, not the ego, but my real true nature of who I am, the genuine who I am, and let it line up with the divine plan. And I want to be a part of that in spades. I'm not just a person to come here and be a doctor, a lawyer, husband, a wife, a kid. All those are things what we do. What we really are is a purpose of bringing in the divine plan in the form of having heaven on earth right here and right now. So what you do is align yourself with that. Whatever you put your focus on, your attention on, it's going to increase. If it's pain and agony and misery, we'll give you a double dose. If it's love, understanding, compassion, then that's what you're going to get.
So
and more people need to be in that alignment.
So these are, thank you, Rob. These are two flip sides of a coin, aren't they? You could call it the fear and the suffering, or the love and the gratitude. What switches on the solvent to the crisis? I see that change happens often when there is a crisis in the life path. It doesn't necessarily happen when things are too comfortable, and most people are striving for accoutrements, to gather in things, to kind of smother over the cracks. But at the end of the day, what is the catalyst for change? And how can the ego and the higher self dance together to face the reality rather than, or break through the illusion, we may say, to bring these two together so that the dance is with life rather than for the ego, for the self alone.
Very good. On this note, you kind of look at things from a different perspective. Everything can be viewed from the perspective of where you are. What seems to be true and pertinent at this particular three-dimensional world we live in today may not be the same a week from now or an hour from now. So you have to check in from time to time, who and what is my genuine self. I want to see that, I want to feel it, I want to put my attention on it. And if you do, it's going to resurrect the greatest power on earth, you, in full embodiment of who you really are on earth. We're gods and goddesses on planet earth. Everything that you see is perfect and whole. Perfect and whole, perfect and whole. And if there's any denialation from that, it's because it's misaligned. And what we do is try to send realigning energy to anybody and everybody, whether it be political or individual. Send individuals that have them realign themselves with who and what we really are. And if you start doing that, you will get out of the mindset which you're creating this demise of who we are in the three-dimensional world. The politicians, they're this, they're that, they don't do this, they don't that. They're perfect. They're perfect. I see what they're going is the process, and I believe in it, and I hold true to who I am, and I think they're playing their part in what they do. And I honor that. And embrace every aspect that you come in contact with in your daily life, whether it be a spouse that you can't get along with, caustic people, whatever. There's something that's triggered in you, or you couldn't see it in them. So what you need to do is embrace it until it resurrects from your beingness, and you can see them in a whole perspective.
This is claiming the true self. I love that as a sort of starting point. To claim the true self and to bring it to the forefront in every moment. This is maybe where we can expand a little bit upon. And I love how bringing through the true self through the ego, or what I call, the persona, the personality, or the instrument of the soul, really, the mental, the astral, emotional, and the physical, to serve or to be available, to give expression to that perfection that you also spoke to. So if the soul is perfect as a being within the overall experience, then let that also be in the relationship with others, whether they're politicians or, the family member or one's neighbor. It's how to what you're speaking to is really to claim the self in every moment.
Go to the mirror and look at yourself and say, I am beautiful, I am whole, and I am going to reflect that on every level. Embody that. Let that land, and go out in the day with that on the agenda of what you got to accomplish and see what happens. It changes everything in the three-dimensional world. If you show up as a divine person rather than this damaged individual that's scarfed and whatever, I want you to really look at yourself. You are beautiful, and claim it right now.
So thank you from Rob, the Oracle of Idaho, and we will be revisiting questions like this in transmissions to come.